Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Good day, viewers, and welcome to another program, Agriculture on the Move. My name is Phillip Sydney. Today, we are discussing a very important issue. I need you to get a friend, you the farmer, get other farmers around, you in the household, get a friend to watch this program. We are going to be very basic as possible, no high language, because we wanted to get the message in that program. We're discussing pesticide safety, basically the safe use of pesticide. And with me in studio, to my immediate right, is Mr. Decosta Pierre, who is the manager of the garden center at Renwick and Company. And next to him is Mr. Winston Elliot, who is an agricultural officer with the research division attached to the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries, Cooperatives, and Rural Development. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program.
Thank you, Mr.
And thank you for being here. Elliot, this program is very important to the layman out there, and we want to speak to the layman. And it's very important because we're discussing lives. If anything goes wrong, it means that we are going to be destroying lives and other persons' lives around those persons who are using pesticides. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the program, tell us, what are pesticides?
Pesticides are a mixture, are substances or mixture of substances that can either be chemical or natural in nature, used to control pests and diseases.
In agriculture and also in the household?
In the household, yeah.
Okay. Now, we're discussing safety, and that is crucial. How crucial it is when people are using pesticides in terms, and we're looking at the safety angle of it?
Pesticide safety is extremely important because pesticides can be beneficial while they can also be harmful if not properly used. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, it is absolutely essential that we always read the label. We know what product that we purchase in. We know for what reason that we purchase in the product. It's also very important that the label gives us a guidance on what control measures that we need to get that.
Continue.
Mm-hmm. The label gives us a guidance on the type of pesticide, what rate of application, what precaution that we need to use, what protective clothing you need. Mm-hmm. So the label is also extremely important.
How do you get the farmers out there to be aware? Is there a continuous awareness program to ensure that those farmers out there, the persons who are using those chemicals, know exactly how to use it, when to use it, and how to apply it?
Well, the ministry have been using a number of initiatives. Primarily, we have been collaborating with our extension division, with persons that sell wholesalers, retailers of pesticides, and also the National Fair Trade Organization. We have also been collaborating with schools and having a series of meetings and awareness throughout the regions, having small farmer meetings, some on a larger scale, meeting with the schools, and the response has been extremely encouraging. The farmers have really embraced the idea. And I need to also highlight that it is not just at one time of the year that we want to say pesticide safety is important. It is something we use pesticides at our homes, on the farms, and we also have to ensure that we store pesticides safely and take the necessary precautions that the label also gives us a guidance.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that. Mr. Decosta, Renwick and Company has been around for a while. Providing
49 years.
49 years,
Yeah.
wow. So you're how soon you're celebrating your 50 years?
January 3rd, 2016.
So there'll be a big showcase.
Yes, there will be.
I'm looking forward for that.
Great.
I know you'll have done effectively assisting the farmers out there, with chemicals and other inputs to the farmer.
Yes.
But today we're looking at safety, all right? Pesticide safety. How is your company involved in safety use of pesticides?
Okay, Renwick and Company have been involved in that business of importing and also working along with the farmers for approximately 49 years. With regards to safety, as Elliot indicated earlier on, we ensure that pesticides imported in the island are registered and required for use in the country. The products are properly labeled. In working with farmers, we provide training from time to time, but also a farmer may walk into the store and may have a problem. We would basically listen to the farmer, get an idea as to what his request is, what problem that he has, get an idea as to where his crop is at, whether it's close to harvesting, and possibly recommend the more suitable product for him. But we must realize that pesticides, we need to treat them like a tool. It's a tool to get a job done, and we need to select the most appropriate tool at the time when it's needed to get that job done.
I am a backyard producer.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a novice. I
That's
come
right.
into your establishment, and I need to get certain chemicals to apply to my vegetables.
All right.
What are the guidance would you give? What's the first thing do you do?
Well, we would question you, find out, get an idea as to what are you looking forward to do. If you are, pesticides are general. If you are looking forward to get fertilizer, or you're looking forward to, as your land preparation treatment, you're looking forward to control certain pests, we would advise you to take an integrated approach towards doing things. First off, you need to look around you, monitor, because there are some organisms that are beneficial. You do not just want to start your backyard garden and to destroy everything that's around you.
Okay.
So get a sense of what is around you, whether it be a pest, or have an idea as to whether it is something that is beneficial to your gardens. For example, some people always come to look for pesticides to kill ants, and ants have their whole scheme of things that they do with what's happening in the environment. So we would advise you accordingly based on, again, your needs for your backyard garden. Whilst we would like to sell you as many products we would like to, but we advise for an integrated approach towards growing your backyard garden. So you would monitor, if you notice that the pest is really bothering you and it's going to affect, then you can select, or we can advise you as to which pesticide is most suitable.
Is it a preventative measure you all start off with, or a curative measure?
Well, it would be, we take a preventative approach towards pests affecting your crop. And we also provide with curative measures as well. And in your backyard garden, you could decide whether you want to do organic or use synthetic insecticides, and we have both of these available.
Okay. Mr. Elliot, before we take our first break, how do you all deal with the farmers out there on one-on-one? I know there are the extension officers out there who also assist. Do you work in tandem with them?
Well, we work closely with the Extension Division, and like I mentioned earlier on, in terms of our awareness, that gives us a good stepping stone in bringing the message across in terms of the safe use of pesticides. That is one of our key tools that are used.
So,
yes,
go ahead.
but also in addition to extension, we are one of the suppliers who have an extension officer daily in the field working with farmers on an individual basis, advising them, carrying out trials and doing demonstrations. But we also work along with the Ministry of Agriculture extension officers as well.
Okay, thank you for that. We are due for our first break. You're listening to Agriculture on the Move. We'll be back soon.
The Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board reminds all importers of such chemicals that according to the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Act, only chemicals which have been registered and granted approval by the board can be legally imported for use in St. Lucia. Agricultural and household chemicals that are not licensed for use in St. Lucia can be harmful to its users and the general public. Before placing orders, importers are advised to check the approved list of pesticides or household chemicals to ensure that they can be legally imported. An import license must be obtained from the Research and Development Division of the Ministry of Agriculture and must be submitted to the Customs and Excise Department to facilitate the clearance of the consignment. For further information, contact the Ministry of Agriculture's Research Division at Union or call telephone numbers 468-5600 or 468-5602.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Mr. Decosta, how do you all, as the supplier, you all import stuff, okay? I know you go through the measures of the pesticide board to ensure that certain pesticides are in sync with what we want to use it for in St. Lucia. There are organic pesticides and inorganic. Of course, can you explain the difference between the two?
Well, with regards to the requirements, whether they are organic pesticides or inorganic pesticides, it has to go through the same licensing regime, meaning that one has to apply for permission to bring it in through the pesticide board. Most organic insecticide, as we would say, they are green or they are natural. Based on what we have, they may not necessarily be instant killers, but you can use them as a management approach to control or reduce on an infestation level, whereas most of the inorganic insecticides, meaning that they are chemically derived, you would use them to control pests, and they are not natural. They are more or less engineered or fashioned, and because of the way that they are made, each inorganic insecticide has its time that you can use it, the rate of application that you can use, and also the time for harvesting. And the inorganics, some of them, they do have that guidelines, but also because they are natural, it's like you can apply some today and harvest 2 days later. So the farmer or the individual who is using the pesticide need to be quite aware of the label, quite aware of that pesticide that he or she is using, and ensure that it is appropriate for the specific pest or disease.
Additionally, the Ministry and the Pesticide and Toxic Control Chemical Board is also promoting the use of more biopesticides, more naturally occurring pesticides. And we're trying to go more into that direction to protect both humans and protect our very fragile environment also.
But does it really have to do, in addition to the environment, it has to do with human health?
Yes, also. And also our water sources, we have to take cognizance of, we have bees in the environment, we have pollinating insects in the environment. All of those things we have to take into consideration to promote the use of pesticides that are more environmentally friendly. And that is the direction that we're working towards gradually.
Yeah, but as I said earlier on, the pesticides, they are tools used, and they need to be used appropriately or as recommended. If you were to take a cutlass or a garden fork and you use it in an inappropriate manner, it means that you will harm yourself.
Correct.
The pesticides, they are tools, and if you use it inappropriately, you will harm yourself, you will harm others around you, and you will harm the environment. So it is important for farmers, for household homeowners, backyard gardeners, to ensure that pesticides are used at all times as recommended by the manufacturer.
Are you saying now that farmers or users of pesticides are going more organic than inorganic? Have you noticed this?
There is a growing interest for organic farming. However, because of a number of things, people are becoming more health conscious. Also, the market requirements, for example, fair trade banana. However, sometimes the population of pests and diseases, for example, the black sigatoka is so high, and it is not. We are not at that level as yet, but we are growing. The demand is growing. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of the use or the correct measurement of the pesticides used by the farmers, 1, and 2, the duration of harvesting period. Do you see there's a problem with the farmers? Because I notice it can be a problem down the road. A farmer would spray a chemical which is supposed to have a span of, say, 14 days before harvesting. And then he gets an order and he harvests this crop, maybe 6 days. I mean, do you have that problem out there?
Well, basically what we try to do is educate the farmers to always read the labels. And the label is basically the law, and the label gives a guidance as to how soon the farmer should harvest after he has applied a pesticide. That is what we promote, especially through our education campaign. That is what we really promote.
But the thing is, it's very scary, because I know for a fact 2 things happen. 1, the farmer spray, he's good at what he does, he used all the measurements, he takes all the precautionary measures. The 2-legged rats come in and they steal. Right? Yeah. Maybe soon after he spray.
True.
All right? So you understand the problem here.
Yeah.
So we now get a better deal out there because we figure it's a good deal. But the thing is a list of chemicals. Okay? I mean, in your awareness program, do you all actually get...
Yeah, that is one of the things, that is one of the aspects that we promote in our awareness programs in terms of people buying stolen goods. And it's always important that we know what we buy, and we buy from a reputable source. And we don't just buy things from anywhere, people that, we're not even sure where it's coming from, if it's stolen goods. So that is one of the things that we promote, because all of the pesticides have what we call a pre-harvest interval in terms of how soon you should consume or harvest that fruit before it goes on the market. Okay. And that is why we promote that primarily.
Let's look at in the household where aerosols are used. I think that a lot of people pay no mind to it, but I don't think they understand the danger in the use of those aerosols. Sure. There are some aerosols that smell very nice, okay, and they figure when they spray, they can stay in it. They spray for mosquitoes, and they, tell us exactly what are the dangers there.
Okay, well, pesticides, like I said earlier on, pesticides can be beneficial, but they can also be extremely harmful if they're not used correctly. And the label gives a guidance as to when is the best time to spray, what are the precautions. We need to ensure that when we use pesticides in the home, we do not spray close to food, we do not store pesticides in soft drink bottles or in any other food container. They should be stored separately from food items, and they should be kept away from children. That is extremely important. We should not be spraying pesticides on any of our food products at home. And we also have a responsibility in our household to ensure that there is hygiene and a high level of cleanliness to reduce the incidence of roaches, rodents, ants in our household, what we call integrated pest management.
Right. Yeah, that is very true. And it's not because a homeowner noticed one roach in the house that you should go just grab a can of aerosol spray and apply. You can physically destroy it, or maybe call the husband and get some control. Right?
Use a shoe.
Yeah, use a shoe or something. There are different methods or ways of controlling pests. So it's not always going for the aerosol spray. It's good, it will kill, but we need to be aware of our environment. We need to be aware that it is our home and we're going to be there for the rest of the day for 24 hours. Our children are going to be there. They touch things. So we need to apply pesticides in a way that will not harm ourselves and not harm others within the environment.
Well said. We are due for another break. You're watching Agriculture The Move. Stay tuned.
Agriculture, one of the pillars of St. Lucia's economic development, creating opportunities for earning a living for the farmer and his family. From the field to the kitchen, the St. Lucians are finding creative ways of using fruits, crops, and vegetables grown locally, from local seasonings to special brews, from aquaculture to the cultivation of local herbs for export. A strong agriculture industry strengthens the economy. The country needs your support. So, buy local.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. We are discussing the safe use of pesticides in our homes, in our gardens. The question of storage, that is key. I mean, you mentioned it a while ago, but I need you to go in depth a little more into especially the farmer in terms of his storage of those, I call it hazardous chemicals.
Yes.
Give us an idea of what is required of him.
Well, not just storage, but in any aspect of pesticides, from selecting the pesticide that you purchase, transporting the pesticide, we need to take there's always precautionary measures that we need to take. And pesticides should be stored carefully. They should be stored under lock and key. They should not be stored anywhere that it can contaminate a water source or children can access it. Additionally, pesticides should only be accessed by the persons that are using them. They should not be anywhere that children can easily access them. They should not be stored anywhere that there is close to food or seeds or fertilizers. They should be stored separately. They should always be under lock and key. Also, signs, a danger sign is also extremely important for people or other persons in the household to keep away from those places.
How far from the home should you store those chemicals?
Well, you want to ensure that you have your pesticide somewhere that is safe and people cannot break into it and steal it. So within, a 10, 15 feet, but it should also be somewhere that is safe and not close to a water source, or in case there's a flood that can contaminate water sources.
Mr. Decosta, that takes me to the question of gear, which is important. Somebody coming to buy chemicals from you, do you just sell the chemicals and let them go? But as far as safety is concerned, do you spell out what it is they need to use as various gear to at least save themselves from inhaling the chemicals or allowing it to fall in their skin and stuff like this?
Yeah, before I speak of the protective gear that is required, I'd also like to add on to what Elliot has said. Especially to some farmers, in terms of the actual purchasing of pesticides. We know that farmers are sometimes very busy, and they may want to send their children to actually purchase pesticides for them. As the label states, keep away from children.
That's right.
Please note that it is not a wise thing to do, and we will not sell to children, so that's important. Protective gears are important to use at all times. Whether you're applying an insecticide in the home or it doesn't matter, whatever the pesticide is, it's always important that one protects his or herself when applying pesticide. We have some protective gears within the office, within the store, that is respirator, gloves, and they are specific to dealing with pesticides. Also your boots, and also we have disposable suits, so you don't have to wash. It does not have the pesticide that you're applying does not have to fall onto your actual clothing. You could just use the disposable suits and dispose of it in a proper manner after use.
In addition to that, in terms of using the protective clothing, it's important for farmers and people that have their household gardens to know that you choose the best time of day to spray. Usually, it's either early morning before the sun, the sun is up, in the afternoon while the sun has gone down, or if it's not too windy. If it's going to rain, you should not be spraying.
In terms of the wind, I need you to explain to the people out there in terms of the wind position. Okay, how and when do you spray? If it's fairly windy and you're spraying, what do you do?
Well, if it's windy, we should not be spraying. Period.
But
Say
if you were there already and the wind.
No, if it's windy, we should not be spraying because what you can find happen is wind can encourage drift.
That's right.
And it can affect water sources. It can go on somebody's clothes, and it can affect other crops. So it is extremely important. If it's too windy, you should not be spraying. Having said so, when we talk about protective clothing also, the clothes that farmers use when they carry out their spray operations should not be washed together with the household clothes. These clothes should be washed separately. Preferably they should be washed on the farm and put to dry properly, make sure that they're sun dried. And they should, as soon as you finish spraying, you should remove those clothes and you should bathe. You should always use soap. You should have drinking water. You should not be drinking or eating or smoking while applying pesticides. That is also extremely important to highlight.
Okay. After you have used the chemical and the container is empty, what do you do with that container? What is your advice to the farmer?
Okay, the advice, we encourage farmers to do triple rinsing. And the rinsate is used in the same spray application that you're carrying out. And that container should be punctured. These containers should be disposed of together with your waste disposal outside of your home for the garbage disposal. We do not have incinerators like some other countries have, but these containers, they need to be triple rinsed, they need to be punctured so that they cannot be used by anybody else for any other purpose.
So I want you to emphasize that, because there are some people who take these containers, especially the plastic containers, and they use them as drinking, water, potable water.
Well, long ago we used to get it happening a lot, but with the education of farmers and the household, with the internet, the programs that we have been having with farmers and so on, we have come a long way, and we need to compliment farmers for accepting the advice that they have been getting. But farmers also sometimes use these containers for other purposes. It may well be to store some other product. So these containers should not be used for any other purpose. And like I said, they need to be triple rinsed, they need to be punctured and disposed of at the garbage disposal site.
The sprayer after use.
Triple rinse.
Triple rinse.
Triple rinsing, yeah. Also, the sprayer is not just, for talking about the sprayer also, it is very important to highlight that before using your sprayer, you need to ensure that it doesn't have any cracks or it has a busted hose or the nuts or any other part, the nozzle is not properly tightened. That is extremely important to avoid leaking and to avoid exposure to your skin, wastage of the product.
Okay.
So it's extremely important that we use, we practice those safety measures.
Okay. Final word from you, Mr. Decosta?
Yes, as I said in my preamble, that pesticides, that they are they are tools used to get a job done. It needs to be used at all times as recommended by the manufacturer. In addition to that, we need to remember that we are using these pesticides within an environment. We have people living there.
That's right.
So whenever we are using pesticides, always be aware of those around us. And if it's going to affect you or affect the people around you, please don't use it, or advise persons within your environs that this is what you intend to do, and get some advice.
Okay. Last word from you, sir, because
pesticides are beneficial, but at the same time they can be harmful. Reading the label is extremely important.
Very good. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for this important information sharing to the farmers and, of course, the householders who are using the aerosols. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. I'd like to thank you for viewing. View again next week on this said station. Every week we give you information on Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.